Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to speak about Clementi Sonatina Opus 36, number 1 in C major, one of the most popular sonatinas we ever play. Ah, so wonderful, this little sonatina. We all know that there are 6 sonatinas in Opus 36, and they do get more difficult as we go on through all 6 sonatinas. And they are wonderful opportunities for students to experience a wonderful musicality, to work on their technique, to think about what makes up the classical style, which also includes musical form in classical sonatinas. So we know sonatinas are just smaller sonatas. Usually they have 3 movements. Sometimes they have 2, but this Clementi Sonatina, as you know, has 3 movements. And the exposition, the development, and the recapitulation make up usually the first movements of all sonatinas and sonatas. So I have to say usually because there are always exceptions to the rule. So the first theme of the exposition is joyous. It's a 4-bar theme, and then Clementi repeats it for the second part of the exposition. But he puts a big contrast in it because it starts forte and then the echo occurs with a nice piano sound. The second theme is quite different than the first theme. There is a Alberti bass in the left hand, and in the right hand, we have a nice little chirpy, lovely little 2-note slur with repeated notes up at the top notes, like this. So then we have the development section. It is the same theme as the first theme. So composers always develop either the first theme or the second theme. Here he's developing the first theme, and he is certainly making it quiet for a good contrast, which is one of the great traits of the classical era. And he's also putting it in the dominant. So we're not finished with the development section yet, because the second part of the development section immediately goes to a dramatic section, and we are playing forte again. And then we return back to the recapitulation. Here we are back in tonic, C major. And then that is the first theme. We also have a transition going to the second theme. So that is how the musical form works in this particular sonatina, as well as many, many others. And now I'm going to take you through ways that we can help our students have wonderful artistic personality by using their ears so that they listen to what they want to create for sound, and what kind of physical gestures and touch releases they can use to create a beautiful sound. Okay, so here is the locked, unmusical way of playing this. Okay, so you notice, first of all, the balance was not good. My left hand was pretty much on par or covering my right hand melody. So that's one of the first things that we want to discuss with our students, that the homophonic texture means that the melody is usually in the right hand. Sometimes it's in the left hand, but usually it's in the right hand. So we want to make sure the left hand doesn't overpower the right hand melody. All right, so now let's go ahead and talk about what we would have our students do for the very first motive. So you notice I'm dropping to the bottom of the keys, and then I come up like I've just dropped onto a trampoline. And that gives me the lilt that I need to get back up to play my E with my 5th finger. So if I play it like that, both of those staccato notes are actually push-offs. Okay. Do you hear the difference in sound? If I use a woodpecker basic staccato touch release, then I actually start from above and I move into the key. So you'll have to decide with your students if you like the sound of the woodpecker touch release. Actually, for forte, it sounds pretty good. Or go ahead and use a push-off. But I think that I would go for the woodpecker because it's more warm, it's more big, and it's more forte. So now these scales. In order to create nuance in our music, in order to create beauty and color, we need to always hear where our phrase is leading to. So since we're quieting down on the B or the 3rd beat, and why are we making it quieter there? So that we can crescendo through the repeated notes and make it to the high point of our phrase, which is on that D. Okay. So let's go ahead and drop to the bottom of the keys for the F, E, D, C, and then we'll be low in the keys. Da, 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 da. Use a little bit of rotation. And when we're dropped here, then we're going to roll forward. And when we get to the D, we're going to stand up on our little finger there. And now we're going to roll forward into the wood of the piano and then drop when we reach the last couple notes of that scale passage. Okay, see how that works? Then we have a beautiful phrase shape. And the same thing with this one. We want to roll forward and off the keys when we reach the lowest note of that little pattern. Okay, so now when we play these, those little thirds. So what do you notice instead of this? For the last time I played this, when everything was static, I keep the wrist straight. And I actually am starting to play on my middle joints instead of my metacarpal joints where the good sound occurs. So let's keep both of our wrists in the dropped motion. And then when we reach the last 2 keys, that's when the students can roll forward into the F sharp and then drop on the G. And again, we're going to have our students drop and then roll towards the wood of the piano for the end of that scale. Oh my gosh. What we need to do is we need to experiment with our students. So would we like this kind of sound? Right, a bunch of nice little basic staccato woodpecker touch releases, or do we want Do you notice the difference in the sound? So the second time I actually was adding kickoffs for each one of those repeated notes. And I also was moving into the wood of the piano So in this way, every staccato note or every repeated note has a different sound to it, which means that I'm shaping the phrases even better than making all those repeated notes the same. Okay, so those are some things to think about. So let's see. I'm going to play from the beginning. So you'll notice in that beautiful last phrase, I'm doing a series of dropping and rolling. And that again makes all the color possible for a beautiful color palette. So our development section. Suddenly, we need to feel rotation in both hands. And what will make this more musical is if we bring out the left hand melody in the top voice. Okay, so now that in the recapitulation, in the first theme, we have an inversion of the main motive, and now we start on the C, and then Clementi mixes it up so that we're having ascending broken chords instead of descending broken chords. So this is a perfect place to use a push-off in the very first staccato note. Do you see that? And you can also use a push-off in the next staccato note. And then we're back to those woodpecker basic staccatos.